Welcome to another episode of One on One with Vasports Media, where we dialogue with past legends, current athletes, future sports stars, and everyone who keeps the sports wheel turning locally, regionally, and internationally. I'm your host, Vernon A. Springer, and we've got a phenomenal guest who's waiting to educate, empower, and inspire you. Stay connected to Vasports Media on all of our social media platforms. If it's sports, Vasports got you covered. Welcome to another edition of the one-on-one conversation on the Vasports Media platform. I'm your host, Vernon A. Springer. Today is a special day for us here because one of our special guests on the program is a young man by the name of Kezron Archibald. This is someone who has come through the St. Kitts Nevis 13 and under system, played for the Leeward Islands at the youth level, went on for the first time for 2019 and broke down the door, got into the Leeward Islands Hurricane set up for the Super 50, and then even kicked the door further open, got into the Leeward Islands Hurricane for the setup, and has now landed a contract with the St. Kitts Nevis Patriots for CPL 2020. He is an amazing talent. He's an athlete, and an athlete in his own right, and I welcome him on this platform, Vasports Media, and it's really touching for me really to be able to speak to him because I think he's going to be one of our brightest finds. And I have indicated on other social media platforms and other programs that Kezron Archibald will play for the West Indies team in 4 years' time. It could come sooner, but trust me, he's certainly on to a bright future. Good day and welcome to Vasports Media one-on-one platform.
Thanks, Springer, and thanks for having me. I'm absolutely delighted. I mean, I can't match your introduction. I don't think no one could, but I'm delighted to be here. I'm delighted for the opportunity to have accomplished what I have accomplished so far. But I'm humbled knowing the fact that not even a quarter of the journey is completed as yet. So, as you said, my aspirations are to play for the Dark and Maroon and to expand the horizons as far as they could go. So thanks for having me.
Now let's talk about Kezron Archibald. Who is Kezron Archibald and where in Nevis is Kezron Archibald from?
Well, Kezron Archibald is, as most may know, my full name is Colin Jr. Kezron Archibald. So my father is the Colin Archibald and I'm the junior. But I'm from a small village in Nevis called Brownhill Village. I played. It's a rich cricketing neighborhood, a very proud neighborhood. We are very proud people over here, and we take our sport seriously. You know, and I think that has been inside of me, my DNA, from since I was a kid. I grew up in Brownhill, went to the Ivor Waters Primary School, Prospect Primary School, now the Ivor Waters Primary School. Then I went to the Gingerland Secondary School and the Nevis Sixth Form College. Then I went to Jamaica to study at GC Foster College. My journey has been helped by a numerous amount of youth cricket development program. I think through youth cricket is where I blossomed the most. I came to the ranks at under 13, as you mentioned, under 15, under 17, and all the Leeward Islands youth teams coming right up. I was fortunate enough to get selected in the Leeward Islands 50 over in the Super 50 competition from the Leeward Islands tournament last year, and even more so fortunate to be selected in the for the team, and also getting a contract as a result of that. Now I'm here as a on this gracious journey. I'm just trying to remain as humble and as patient as possible and take it as it comes day to day.
Now, the community of Brownhill has produced some tremendous greats. The Walwins, Clifford Bumber Walwin steps out, Burnett Thompson. In Calypso, you would have to say Astro and Company leads the way. But it's a very proud community. Who were some of your idols growing up cricket-wise in Brownhill?
Well, definitely even before I started taking cricket serious, before I even understood what I wanted to do out of life, I used to admire my uncle. Sylvester Brown. He played for Nevis also. He used to instill a kind of what should I call it? A kind of drive in me that makes me want to play cricket. And it wasn't for no good reason. My grandmother always used to tell him, stop telling the boy those stupidness. Like, he used to be like, Boy, you got to want to try and bowl fast and hit people, bowl bumpers and hit people, knock on people and so forth. I mean, my grandmother used to always tell him, yo, stop telling the young boy them kind of things. But those kind of things that inspired me to, I wanted to be an aggressive cricketer. So that kind of got me. Definitely Clifford Bumble he's one of the guys that every youngster in Brownhill who fantasizes about cricket should look up to, because I think he has reached the furthest in cricket from Brownhill. I had some players that I played with that helped me along the way. A lot of players, if I start to list names right now, I'll be getting into trouble. Notsi, my cousin, he also was there with me throughout the journey, pushing me along. So there's a lot of people that cricket-wise has inspired me from Brownhill.
What about Sazam? Because I know that Sinclair Sazam Challenger, we can't leave that name out, and I know you guys are very close. Tell me some little stories about Sazam.
That's one of the reasons why I didn't want to start to mention names, because you see, Sazam is a honorary mention, eh? But I didn't want to get into the habit of calling names because then I'm gonna get into problem. But definitely Sazam, Sazam is the kind of guy that is gonna give you that kind of enthusiasm, like, you could do this, he speaks well of people that are from Brownhill, and he's one of the persons that makes you feel like, you're from Brownhill, but you could do it. You understand? And he always instilling me, yo, you're good enough to play, represent the Leeward Islands and in turn play for the West Indies. So you just gotta go out and do it. He was definitely a driving force.
I can give you a story, Colin, about Sylvester Brown and silly bowl real quick. I remember there was a situation where Nevis was preparing for a Leeward Island tournament, so a number of players, and they would practice over on the school ground. And the late Renaka Morton had this sort of tendency that he wanted to take on everybody, but Silly was very, very, very slippery. And Silly never backed wrong. And I know they had a confrontation one day just before this game, over at the park. And Silly said to him, you come, because I can deal with you. This sort of, Renaka, very strong, boisterous, and could take on the world. And trust me, I remember the late Everton Halliday saying to Renaka Morton on that day, boy, the man bowling fast, put on your helmet, that kind of stuff there. And Ronnie had this kind of attitude that, a helmet for me, them guys are slow. And lo and behold, it's one of the first times that I've ever seen anybody hit Renaka Morton, and it was silly. I'll never forget that incident there. He went to hook, and it was a lined up bumper, even to the point of when Renaka got hit, and they called the ambulance. Renaka was so adamant that he wanted to go back to take on Silly. It was everybody there saying, Renaka, you've got to go look after yourself, and somebody he said, no, I want to beat him, and something like that there, and Silly done fire go on there. But it was, touching. I almost come up in Brownhill myself too. So those days, it was fascinating.
Those are the kind of characters that you see in Brownhill on a regular. People who feel like no matter what, like we don't feel like the opposition is better than us. Even if we might not do it, even if people might not see us as being the most manageable in some of the way that the guys used to approach the cricket. I mean, they always used to put it all in the cricket, and that's one of the things that idolize me, that I idolize as a cricketer coming up. I used to like the spirit that the guys had. They don't feel like we could be defeated, even in the eyes of defeat, Now,
Kezi, there was a time where you were into athletics, still into cricket. When did you kind of break away and say, hey, I'm going all the way? Yes, you represented the Leeward Islands at under 15, under 17, under 19. But during that period of time, you were also still inclined to the athletics, which was good for you because it made you stronger. When did you say, hey, this is it?
Well, Spring, to be honest, when I was younger, I used to feel like talent could have get you through, I used to feel like because I have the talent, I could have made it through in life. So that's one of the reasons why I was decent enough at athletics. So I went to the character games a couple of times. So those are accomplishments that some youngsters wish they have. A lot of youngsters wish they could have gone to the character games and so forth. I was fortunate enough to go, but at the same time I was playing cricket, and the love that I always have for cricket is an unconditional love. And I remember one time that I think it was 2012. We had just came from the Carifta Games in Bermuda, and we were going to the I think it was CS Games in El Salvador. But at the same time, we had to go to Tobago for a under 17 tournament, and I was like, the guys were like, "Yo, you cannot miss out on this opportunity." But I was like, I don't see myself. I don't love athletics like how I love cricket, so I couldn't see the opportunity. Even though Tobago wasn't the big El Salvador or the big trip or whatever it may be, I saw it as, I want to play cricket, so that this is where I'm gonna go towards. But I think the major turning point in my development was after I passed the youth level of playing cricket. After I passed the under 19 stage, I think it was 2015. I realized, I want to play cricket. I know I love cricket. I know I want to play cricket, but the talent that I have is not gonna get me to where I want to go. Because when you reach after you pass the development stage of cricket, everybody have talent. In first class cricket, you have to have a certain amount of talent to be a first class cricketer. So then I realized that I have to work hard or even harder than some of these guys to perform at this level. So then is where the athletics kind of suffered, because I couldn't tangle with both. Yeah, so I had to make the decision to step over into what I really loved, So it was from about 2015 when I realized that, we're moving up. I want to go to a different level now, so you just can't be basic anymore.
Now, you dominated, Kezi, the Giant Mart High School cricket competition. And even though Gingerland was a weak team, you still came out in flying colors. And that was a competition organized by the Ministry of Sports in St. Kitts and Nevis, which had all of the high schools between St. Kitts and Nevis and the Clarence Fitzroy Bryan College. You played a little bit for CFBC too, right?
Nevis Sixth Form College.
Nevis Sixth Form College, yeah. How was that? How was those days at the youth level?
Well, Springer, let me start by first. I take offense to the statement of Gingerland being a weak team, because I could remember we actually winning Giant Malt. I think it was 2 times when I was there. We had some guys like Lionel Dua and the late Randall, Teron Busu. We had a lot of guys, and we actually won that tournament. I think it was twice. But when those guys left, and it was just basically me alone there, we struggled, but we still made the finals. But it was good. It was good. I always like being in situations where you bring out the best in me, and I feel like in teams like that, I feel like I get the best out of me, where I actually have to, put on my hand and put out some good performances.
Now, Kezi, we passed the youth stage. There was a little lull in Leeward Islands cricket, but then they had a fall where it picked back up, and so you were able to kind of force your way in. 2019 was your breaking point, because you were in Jamaica, you were studying, you came home, you were pumped. I picked you up and you said to me, "This is one thing I come for, I come to play in this Leeward Islands tournament, and I got to make the Leeward Islands Super 50 team." And I was so proud of you. I think you picked up like about 14 wickets, scored some runs. Talk me through that process, coming from Jamaica and playing during the 2019 Leeward Islands tournament.
Well, it's so funny, because it was just recently I was telling somebody about that. I actually had 3 opportunities to play Super 50 this year. I was playing cricket in Jamaica for the elite clubs. That's where they have 6 different teams, and that's where they used to pick the Jamaican team. So I was playing for an elite club, the Combine University team, and there was also the CCC trials going on. And I remember not bowling well during the CCC trials, and I told one of my friends, OJ, he played for the CCC. I told him, I have an opportunity to go home. I'm gonna go home and play with my guys where I'm most comfortable, and I'm gonna make Leeward Islands team. And if I told you that I had an idea how I was gonna do it, I would be lying. But up until the point that I came on the airport, I'm not sure if you know Robert Samuels.
Yes.
Yeah, Robert Samuels. He always tell me, "Yo, you have the ability, and you have the makeup of a first class and international cricketer." And I was like, if this guy could see this in me, people are always telling me those kind of things. So, but specifically when he told me so, I actually believed it. For a minute, I actually believed it. And when I went on the airplane in the flight to Antigua, I have the notes in my phone up to now. I wrote down some notes on the plane, and I try to make a plan of exactly how I want to bowl in the tournament, how I want to bat, and how I want to feel. So I had something like, I think it was, I want to bowl my 10 overs for less than 40 runs every game. I don't want to go for every 4 overs. I don't want to go for more than 2 fours. So I don't want to bowl my 10 overs with exceeding more than 5 fours. It's something along that line. I had something like I want to attack the ball straight on and not going around the ball. I had a plan, you know. So I wrote down a plan on my phone on the flight to Jamaica to Antigua, and that's why when I came and I landed, you picked me up. He was explaining some difficulties that the guys had experienced, and I was like, "That's thing. I don't really want to hear that right now. I just want to get on the park and play cricket, you know." So I feel like it was a process. Is that something that I had to go through to make me stronger, you know. So that was my mindset going towards it. Like, you know, this is the year. It have to be this year, you know? And I put my all into it.
Because I'm so impressed for you. The only thing that I shouted at you at was when you were playing in the 4-day game against Barbados, when I told you that I thought that you should have got 100 in that game because you had a good start. You know me and your fellow for that because you had everybody on the back foot, and sometimes it's good to register those moments here sometimes because they stand out. Anytime you go to bat, you know the long story. I told you, Kezi, next time Kezron Archibald not out 89 or Kezron Archibald 100. Those things count because when the selectors sit down, they're going to go through a list and they're going to be saying, who are the players that made 100 in 2019, 2020? And when you look to the list, Kezron Archibald, 120 against Barbados. And somebody going to say, yeah? And he get 12 wickets. That's how the conversation starts. But we're past that stage and you know what you have to do the next time you go there. That was a zone area that you got into that day. And I think you kind of shocked everybody was because they got to saw a different Kezron Archibald that they didn't see in the Super 50.
Well, yeah, that innings was special. I mean, it was a thrill. The innings itself was special, but it's something to learn from, as I say. It's a learning curve, and it was only my second game. I don't want to use that as an excuse, but definitely something to learn from. I was talking to Stuart Williams yesterday. He was talking to us after practice, and he said he remembered a time in 91, I think it was, or 92, that he made 3 90-somethings back to back. You know, and he said, I think it was against, he made one in St. Kitts and he made one in Ghana, and then against Australia touring team, West Indies on 23, he made a 97, and that one hurt him the most. And he was like, those are things you got to learn from, or those things you got to go through in order to learn. And when you learn from them, you're supposed to come out of that situation stronger. So I accept it as something that I have to go through to learn, but I don't want to limit myself to having to feel like I regret the situation. I accept it as something I have to go through in order to learn, you know. So hopefully I've learned from it, and there would be you will see a lot more hundreds. You will see a lot of hundreds from Kezron Archibald in the future.
I'm not worried about that. Now let's talk about the transition and the opportunity to go off to Jamaica to study. How did that happen? Well,
the government came up with the initiative to send 4 of us to Jamaica in 2016 to better the physical education structure here in Nevis. So the 4 of us were selected based off of different qualities, athletic achievements, or what have you. We were selected and we were sent off to Jamaica. There was a whole changing point in my life, both mentally and physically, you know, because we were actually in one of the roughest places in Jamaica to live, and that's Spanish Town. So it actually made me more stronger in my mind. It made me a lot more resilient to certain things. So I was able to use that situation and created a positive out of it, which I know I wanted to play cricket. That is what I wanted to do, even though the government sent me away, and I have my obligations to that. Well, regardless of whatever, at the end of the day, I have my degree, but I want to play cricket, you know. So it was a good experience. It was a good experience throughout Jamaica. At first, it was rough, but then you started to get accustomed, and you build some friends along the way, which helps cushion the journey a little bit. So I enjoyed the experience. I think it was a instrumental experience in my development. So I give thanks for it. Hats off to the government and the Ministry of Sports for doing that.
When you come from Brown Hill, so if you survive Spanish tongue, what did you study?
We study physical education.
Anything else that you could have done while you were there? How was that course? Because physical education is broad. So
it was physical education. It was mostly like exercise science with a little bit of, it was a holistic, I must say it's a holistic degree. So you have some exercise science where you learn about like anatomy and physiology, kinesiology, those kind of stuff. And then on the administrative side, we have sports, like you have courses like sports journalism, sports law, sports management, those kind of stuff. So it's something that prepares you for being a sports person in general, a sports administrator in general, a massage therapist, something, anything along that line. It's just a ground base for that.
Now, the culture of sports in Jamaica, because you would have competed a number of times for the university. How did you see that?
It definitely boosts my competitive spirit. I could give you a story. One time I was playing in an elite match. It was our team, which is the Common Universities. That's with Chadwick Walton, Robman Powell, and those guys. We was playing against the I think it was his. Anyways, it was the St. Anne's team, and John Campbell was playing for the St. Anne's team. And I remember it's 2 rounds. I remember one weekend we went down to St. Anne to play, and this was the first time I was bowling to John Campbell. I actually bowled in your ball, and the kind of aggressive player John Campbell is, and he hit me over my head. I think it was 3 times in 3 overs, and the kind of vibes that you get, the guys don't let you up for that. They don't let you up for that. They come down hard on you. They want you to do well, so you have to build that kind of resilience. And I looked to myself and I said, yo, the next time we meet John Campbell, we're gonna be a different showdown. I had a coach. Well, he wasn't our coach. He was a lecturer at the school. He teaches anatomy and physiology. He had a fitness program going with us, and I used to go to him and say, yo, Mr. Williams, I feel like I need to get myself I need to get my legs a lot stronger, because I don't feel like I'm planting enough getting enough force from my legs. And the next weekend I was like, when we went to not the next weekend, the following time we played John Campbell, their team. I bowled him some balls, and I think I got like 3 wickets in that game. I got Derval Green and some other person. But when I bowled to John Campbell in particular, I sticked him up with a sharp ball, but the mid-off was a little bit too deep. He came down the wicket, and so they ran a single. He came down the wicket and he said, yo, where you from? In the Jamaica, he was like, he wanted to know who I am now, because of, I told myself that it wasn't going to be the same showdown as before. So Jamaica definitely builds that sort of grit in you, that competitive spirit, and you have to be at the top of your game all the time, because there's no chance for lapsing.
So 2019, you got your first cap for the Leeward Islands Super 50 team. And straight after that, the Hurricane first class debut. Talk us through that. You felt like you had arrived. You felt when you got the news that you were going to play. What was the homecoming like to get into the team after you heard, especially with the Super 50 that you're playing?
Well, definitely, I always see myself as playing for the Leeward Islands. As I said, this is just a fraction of the journey. So I didn't nowhere feel like I have arrived, because in my mind it's just a fraction of the journey. Something that has to take place in order for the journey to be complete. So I looked at it as a opportunity to build myself, to expand myself and experience first class cricket. But I also knew that it wasn't the arriving point. So it was a good experience. I did feel in the beginning stage I was a bit nervous, but at the end of the day, the guys were welcoming. The guys were very welcoming. Some of the guys I know before, even going into the team. So it wasn't a bad transition for me. It wasn't a rough transition. I didn't have to go through anything mentally other than the fact that I was just a little bit nervous at the start.
You got a call that you're going to be part of the St. Kitts Nevis Patriots 2020. We leave that telephone call for me.
It was good. I was excited. At the same time, given the situation that the world is in right now, I wasn't really. I guess I wasn't over the moon as how I should have been, because I wasn't sure if there was actually going to be a tournament, or if the news was actually. The source was a credible source, but I wasn't sure if the news was actually, factual. So I took it with a grain of salt. I wasn't too much over the moon as some may say. But regardless, I was in training. We train every day with Stuart for the Leeward Islands team regardless. So I just took it as business as usual. So we training. If I'm training as Stuart mentioned, he was like, we want to stay ahead all the time. We want to make sure that we're ahead. So if in any eventuality that we're ready. So I took it as it was exciting. It was a proud feeling, but I just looked at it as business as usual. I wasn't looking at it as something that is gonna stop me from training the way I am. It was just business as usual. I was excited, but
You remember 2019 when I picked you up, you also told me that is one thing you want is that you got to get a central contract for the Leeward Island Hurricane. You remember that conversation?
Yeah.
All right. So when you landed that now, your dreams, your aspirations were just you just tick the box.
Exactly. As I say, it's just a part of the journey. It's just a part of the journey, and it's not the end goal. It's just a fraction of where you want to reach. So when you get those calls, you're excited for accomplishing that part of the journey. But you have to be reminded that, it's just a fraction, so you have more to go.
Who did you tell about all this good news?
Who did I tell?
Yeah, the contract with the Leeward Island Hurricane and then, the CPL.
Well, to be honest, the CPL news come out, people was telling me about the CPL news. But I told my family, I spoke to my family about it. I have some very close friends that I rap with on a day-to-day basis. I spoke to them about it. I love domino. I love playing domino. So I go to a bar over bar and play dominoes. I spoke to the fellas about it. They congratulated me. They were very encouraging. Like some guys, people are gonna give you a word of advice. You take out the necessary ones and discard the ones that you don't feel are necessary. But you have to take every advice as something, somebody's trying to give you some good news, and you have to appreciate that. And I'm grateful for every opportunity that I get. So with that said, it was a good, I explained, I had some conversation with a lot of people, but it wasn't a big broadcast. It wasn't a big broadcast.
What did the Premier tell you? Because I know he's very proud of you.
Well, the Premier is from Brownhill, so he relates to my auntie a lot. He don't speak to me personally, but he relates to my auntie a lot. She would tell me, man, go and make sure this and that because he want to post it on the page or so forth, But whenever he comes around, he would tell me, he hails me as he calls me celebrity, So whenever he come around, he would always encourage me also and tell me to keep up the good work, So
let's talk, Kezi, as we look to continue this conversation with you. Out of the sport, what does Kezi like? What's
well,
that music?
I love playing dominoes. I love shoes. I love to be well attired. I have a passion for sneakers. Most of Jordans. That's my thing. I collect Jordans when I could afford them. But I like playing dominoes, as I say, to calm my mind. Sometimes I also go to a bar over by Sandy or over by Baker Shop over Bath and play dominoes. I picked up singing a few years ago, was entering into the Soccer Monarch Arena. So I have a very, I would like to say I have a very decorative imagination. So I write lyrics and so forth, and would just sing, random stuff, just to calm my mind. But that's basically me. I'm not so as exciting as a person. I have a son, so most of my time whenever I'm not in Jamaica, I spend it just being around him and trying to build a bond as deep as possible.
What's his name and how old is your son?
His name is Signature King Archibald.
No,
He's
break down that name for me. Come, Kezi. Who came up with this name? Kezi, come watch me and tell me about this name. How this name came, Kezi?
I'm probably gonna be a bit scrutinized for this interview for releasing that. He was kind of secretive, but his name came from his mother wanted him to name Nature, but I wanted him to have my initials, so I wanted him to be CKA. So I put C apostrophe Nature King Archibald.
Wow.
KYNG.
Wow. I love that. Fitness wise, and so your fitness feet. So you spend a lot of time at the beach?
Well, sometimes I go to the beach like once a week.
Okay.
Like once a week. But I don't really go to the beach for running per se, because it does damage. I find it damage my joint.
Okay.
So what I do is mostly like swim in the water and do a lot of stretches and so forth.
All right. Now sorry. You follow other sports, Kezi? What other sports you like? NBA, English, Premier League?
Basketball. I'm not really a big football fan like that. When I'm not watching cricket, it's either basketball. I love track and field too. That's about it. I used to love playing volleyball in college. Volleyball, and as I say, I love domino and chess. I like playing chess too.
Who's your NBA team?
Lakers.
LA
Lakers.
So you're a LeBron guy.
No, I'm not a LeBron guy, but I'm a Kobe guy. I was a Kobe guy.
Black Panther. You were just a Black Panther guy.
Black Mamba, yeah.
Black Mamba. All right. So you're not a LeBron man. You just back the Lakers.
I'm a Laker fan, regardless of whoever they put there to wear the purple and gold. I'm a Laker fan. Just like how I'm a Leewards fan and I'm a West Indies. I always tell people I only could back 3 teams. I don't care who they're playing against. It's Nevis, Leeward Islands, and the West Indies. Well, now the Patriots. I don't care who they're playing against. I hear people say that they don't back West Indies team, they back England. I don't see how they could do it. Here's where I'm from. I only could back Lakers. So I only could back the Leewards. So just like how I'm back in the Leewards, I only could back Leewards, I only could back Lakers, regardless of whoever they put there to represent the purple and gold.
Kezi, as I look to close, you are a role model in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, and so the aspirations and the pressures are going to be on you, whether you like it or not. Lots of things happening around the world right now. You follow social media, you see this Black Lives Movement campaign moving around. How you feel about racism in sports?
Well, racism in sports, I feel like I don't see how you could have racism in sports, because sports is something that joins us together. Sports is a human building activity. Racism on a whole, outside of sports, is something that is disheartening. Just to see where Black people are coming from and where we are now. I mean, we are delighted by that achievement alone. The fact that somebody could look at me because I'm this color and think that I'm less of a person is disheartening for me. Whether he's playing cricket, football, or even just a normal man on the street, I feel like it's not right. It's disheartening for me. And I just wish that, I know that I'm only one person, but as I mentioned to somebody earlier, I'm just trying to create a path, use my life as a template to create a path for other people. And so hopefully along my journey, as I said, this is a journey for me. Along my journey, I could inspire as much people as possible. And hopefully people could start, youngsters as I would imagine, would start thinking about, the way forward, because as I said, this racism thing is disheartening. Just the fact that somebody could look at you and see and see you for being less of a person, you know?
Well, Kezi, I want to take some time out to really salute you and also to honor you in a very big way, and to honor a number of persons who have made it possible. My very good friend, the Director of Sports in Nevis, Jamia Claxton. We journeyed to Australia and we work, and even when I was in the sports department, you know, we've always talked. Even in my position as cricket operations manager for the Leeward Islands Cricket Board, I've had to interact numerous times with Jamia Claxton in terms of cricketers from Nevis, male or female. So Jamia is close to my heart. Malcolm Ramsey is another name who's very, 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 very close to me. I don't have the same closeness with Sazam. It's something that I'm trying to work on as we look out. And through this platform, I expect to be able to give him an opportunity where I can be able to showcase his skills. I want a last little simple message from you to the young men and women who are involved in sports and what they have to go through, because people are going to look at your success, Kezi, and say, oh, he made it, but they wouldn't understand the journey and they wouldn't understand the sleepless nights that you would have had to put through. Your message to young athletes in St. Kitts and Nevis and the wider part of the world who's listening to this one-on-one on the Vast Sports Media platform.
Well, definitely. I think that first of all, we as athletes need to be resilient. We as young people need to be resilient, especially without everything that's going on in the world right now. We definitely need to be resilient, and we need to understand that certain situations we face in life is not because of someone is trying to hold you back or anything. It's just something that you have to go through in life in order to reach where you want to reach. And don't take those situations don't take those stumbling blocks and stay down and stay on the ground. You have to get back up after that. Also, I want to encourage everybody who is involved in sports to remain as focused as possible. I feel like with the right amount of focus, you could achieve anything that you want to achieve just by having the right amount of focus geared towards that specific thing. You know, so however you feel like you want to be successful, the level of focus is highly dependent on that. So I just want to encourage everyone, whoever is listening, to just remain as focused. Once you have a goal, stick towards it and try to be as resilient as possible, because there are going to be a lot of obstacles in life, but you know, you have to find a way to get over them.
My brother, don't go anywhere without your Bible. You have a bright future ahead of you. Only you can stop yourself. You've always been talented. You've been a natural athlete. The first time I remember we had a combined St. Kitts 13 and under team that went to Barbados, I could remember the little situations of how you turned up the heat in Barbados, bowling fast at an early age. The sky's the limit for you. And so I expect in 4 years' time, somewhere along the road, whether I'm in my rocking chair or where I might be, that at least I'm looking at you walking over West Indies, receiving your cap, or maybe I might be there in person to see you. Just keep working hard, my brother, and know that this journey is a long one. And thanks for joining Vast Sports Media on the one-on-one platform. This really has been an interesting conversation. And just make sure that you follow all the social media platforms. We make sure that we link up with you, and so you'll be able to have this one. This is a top of the one. So God bless you and keep the faith.
Thanks a lot, Springer. Pleasure having me. I hope that everything goes well with you and the sports page. With thanks.
God bless you, my brother.
Respect.